If you ask someone what their favorite Ratchet game is, it's probably the third one, Up Your Arsenal. Up my what? Huh. That actually was Up My Arsenal. This was Insomniac's third Ratchet game in 3 years, and they went above and beyond with this title. It introduced multiplayer, gave us the best villain, and showed us Captain Cork acting like a monkey. And they did all this in under a year. It achieved the highest score a Ratchet game has ever gotten, but the development team didn't think that was going to happen. If you've seen the Gaming Brits video on Ratchet 3, which you probably have because just look at that view count. He has a clip in that video that's a developer commentary from 2 people that actually worked on the game, and they revealed that the game was almost unplayable 2 weeks before it launched.
If I remember correctly, this game was a disaster until 2 weeks before Gold.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair thing to say.
I remember going out to lunch with the designers, and all of us just like we're putting like earthquake blankets over each other and trying not to cry. And I think Colin said, "I'm really worried that we will make Insomniac's first failure." And then like 2 weeks later, it was the highest rated game Insomniac's ever made.
With such a troubled development, what changes were made to the formula that earned this title the highest rating of any Ratchet & Clank game? The biggest difference between Up Your Arsenal and the previous games is the way the individual levels are set up. Instead of giving you multiple paths for you to choose where you want to go first, this game guides the player through a straight path and predetermines what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. This focus on more action-oriented gameplay is something Insomniac Games has said they've always wanted to do, and it feels like Up Your Arsenal was the first game to actually achieve that goal for them. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with linear level design, because in fact, I actually prefer that in most of the games I play. For some reason though, it just didn't excite me with this game. I couldn't figure it out until I got to the planet Dax, and then it showed me exactly what I love about this franchise. With each world in the first game having multiple routes, I got to choose what activities I wanted to do when. For example, let's look over here and you see some enemies, but you don't feel like fighting right now. So I'm gonna go check over here. Oh shit, a grind rail section. I'm definitely jumping on that. I was given a game that let me choose where I want to go in each world, and Up Your Arsenal plays like the exact opposite of that. Linear level design runs rampant in this game, but like I've said before, that is not a bad thing. Let's take a look at it like it's coffee. You can drink it with cream, sugar, or just plain black. There's no wrong way to enjoy it. Me, I like maple syrup in my coffee. It's just the perfect combination of flavors. You get some sweetness and an amazing flavor as well, but you only have to use one ingredient instead of 2. I'm not weird. The way this pertains to Ratchet & Clank is that the black coffee is the combat. You can get different kinds of coffee, which represent all the flavors of guns you can use in this game. The sugar would be grind rail areas, because these offer a fun auto-scrolling section that gives you a true spectacle, and are just fun as hell to play. The cream would be pure traversal sections that give you a fun and fair challenge, while also breaking up the gameplay loop by not exclusively focusing on combat. Up Your Arsenal is just plain black coffee, because holy shit, no cream or sugar is to be found here. Too much maple syrup. Out of the 18 worlds, only 3 of them let you choose which path you go down first, and the other 15 just funnel you down a straight line. They sometimes have multiple sections to them, like a vehicle combat mission or puzzle solving areas, but you are told when to do those. Only one world has 3 different paths that let you decide where you want to go first, and that became my favorite level of the game. Dax is such an amazing world, because all of these paths give you a unique experience from the last. Go down this first path and face a gauntlet of enemies waiting for you at every turn. This one takes you on a platforming adventure that has you swinging from platform to platform while they are being shot out from under you by this flying ship. It ends with a boss battle where you can finally take down that bastard, and it's so satisfying. The last path takes you down a similar combat gauntlet, but it throws puzzle solving into the mix to break up all the enemy encounters. If you compare this planet to the rest of them, the others feel so restrictive and don't give you many options to explore. I was so desperate for variety that when I got to Aquatis and I saw 2 different paths, I could finally decide where I want to go. Guess I'll go this way. I know I'm complaining about the way they laid out the levels, but I don't think it's bad design at all. In fact, I think most people prefer this way than the way they did it in the first game. Personally, I like the first design better, because I can choose where I want to go, and once you take that away from me, I'm not going to like it very much. The first game just nails that mixture of combat, traversal, exploration, and puzzles in every level. I just miss it. With the majority of these worlds, they are purely combat focused and are broken up into a list of missions instead of like a planet to explore. These are great for leveling up your weapons, and I don't mind doing some of these missions once I finished a level, but not when that's the only thing you do in the world. Yes, combat is fun. Shoot something, it blows up. Cool. Just don't waste an entire world on that. It honestly feels like these are filler levels that weren't thought out that much and are here to just pad out the game length. But at least they give you bolts, and you can test out your new arsenal of weapons in a wide open area.
Hey, look! It's a new sergeant!
Huh?
Here, Sarge, you can have my gun.
Up Your Arsenal has, well, a wider arsenal of weapons for you to choose from. Most of these weapons are very similar to the previous ones in the series, or they're just brought over from the other games. My favorite weapon, the lava gun, returns here, and they kept it exactly the way it should be. Instead of upgrading to the stupid meteor gun like in Going Commando, once it's fully upgraded, the way it fires stays the same. I may not have gotten a lot of use out of it in the late game, but for the early situations I did get to use it in, it was perfect. The upgrade systems from Going Commando return as well, but this time they are better than ever. Each weapon now has 5 levels, and your health upgrades to 100, which just means progression happens a lot quicker. It's there to shoot dopamine to your brain and shower it with all those good happy feelings. The only problem is that this weapon upgrade screen doesn't pop up sometimes, and it just displays a text box. It wasn't really special the first time my weapon upgraded, and I barely realized what happened. Speaking of barely noticing, everyone's favorite black market merchant, Slim Cognito, makes a reappearance, and he gives you the best weapons from Going Commando absolutely free. Hell yeah. You got the lava gun and the mini turret glove, and those are the only 2 weapons he has for you, so I never thought to go back to him. After I beat the game and started doing research for this video, I found out that he gives you more than just those 2 weapons. Wait, you're telling me I could have been using the bouncer and the plasma coil this whole time? Why didn't the game tell me about this? Here's the part I was going to leave out of this video because it's already been talked about before, but it can't be ignored. The PS3 collection is riddled with bugs. Apparently, when you get to Quark's hideout, a message pops up from Slim saying he has the bouncer for sale. But my game never displayed that message. I had to watch someone's playthrough of that part to make sure I wasn't going insane, and the message did appear for them. I think a better idea for Slim Cognito would have been to have him hiding out in the Phoenix somewhere, like between the armor merchant or the weapon merchant. It would have just been funny to see that, because he'd be hiding out in plain sight right underneath the noses of the people looking for him.
Look at that, Clank. This ship is amazing.
Welcome aboard the Phoenix, gentlemen.
Whoa.
This is the first game that introduced a sort of hub world that you can come back to and regroup after a mission. Here you can do holographic training, see the collectibles you found, and play a new minigame starring Captain Quark himself. These vidcomics are side objectives that I found to be really entertaining and well made for being a 2D side-scroller inside a 3D platformer. But I can see why someone wouldn't like these sections, because they can be very difficult if you aren't used to 2D platforming. In the Useless podcast episode where they talk about the vidcomics, the 2 developers told us about how the focus testing went for these levels.
Like in focus tests, how did people react to, oh, all of a sudden I'm playing this sort of old school 2D platforming game?
Oh, people were not very happy with that.
For a game trying not to be called a platformer, the introduction of a difficult 2D section is kind of out of left field. I enjoy a challenge, and I think the checkpoint system is actually fair, so I enjoyed these comics, but tying these to story progression so you have to beat them was a little much. I liked getting the backstory between Dr. Nefarious and Quark in these cutscenes, so it felt like you were getting a reward for beating such a challenge. Though these levels themselves probably would have worked better as an optional side mission. I didn't like how the ship combat missions in Going Commando were tied to story progression, so requiring the player to do these Quark levels is the same type of problem. Once you're done with the vidcomic, you get to go do a training course, and this? It feels like it was pulled directly from the first game. They combined the dynamo and the swing shot, creating the hyper shot. This lets you activate platforms and swing around with only one gadget. You get this and the hacker, which is the only puzzle solving tool in the game, and you are set free to run through a gauntlet that introduces you to all these gadgets. I absolutely loved this section because it brought in the other aspects that make a Ratchet game special to me. The only downside to it was there weren't enough of these in this game. The rest are combat challenges, which are only fun for so long, because the entire rest of the game is heavily geared towards combat encounters. These challenges do give you bolts, even though they are required, but it helps alleviate the problem of not having enough money, like in the previous game. They actually took a couple of steps in solving the currency issues of the previous game by adding in a new bolt multiplier crate. These give you twice the amount of bolts for a short period of time, and they are placed near areas that are going to have a lot of enemies in crates. This wasn't the only new crate introduced, because there was also an Inferno mode one, but that wasn't as helpful as the first. This grants you invincibility for about 30 seconds and gives you 2 flaming wrenches that take down any enemy in one hit. While it is a cool spectacle, it goes against the progression system put in place. If you're trying to level up your weapons, then it's not advantageous to use these power-up crates because it locks you out from using them for those 30 seconds. These crates are used very sparingly though, so you don't come across them that often, which prevents them from becoming a hindrance. This game also introduces a new gadget called the Warp Point. Wait a minute, what's the Warp Point? If you didn't remember this gadget, then you're just like me, because I totally forgot it was even in this game. You use it 2, maybe 3 times in the whole game, and all it does is send you from here to here. Whoa, that was kind of cool. It was the last gadget added in, and the development team had a hard time making it work without breaking the entire game, so they severely limited its usage. Now what I wish they would have limited was some of the side characters' screen time.
Years ago, I single-handedly defeated Dr. Nefarious, but like a rash on the galaxy's backside, he has flared up again.
So the side characters are the standard comedy relief of this series, but not all of them work in this game. Skid McMarks, still the best name in the series, helps you throughout the sewer, but he is afraid of everything. When you're on your way to the Obani Moons, Skid says he's also on his way to help you out.
I would have been here sooner, but I encountered some heavy-duty resistance.
Enemy troops?
Well, not exactly. The drive through a Galaxy Burger was wicked slow, and...
Anyway...
He acts brave when there's no threat around, but as soon as one shows itself, he then starts to freak out. It's the same thing with Captain Quark. He gets all the praise for everything, but after narrowly escaping death, he goes into hiding. After being humiliated in the first game, he is still put in charge to lead the fight against the main villain, Dr. Nefarious. Why not have the Lombax that saved 2 galaxies now as the leader, instead of the Zero that thought he was a monkey 2 minutes ago? He may have bested Nefarious once before, and that's why he was put in charge of the force that's supposed to beat him again, but he was also the one that created the villain in the first place. I just don't really like Quark that much, because he's always the one taking the spotlight from Ratchet. He is the hero the galaxy deserves, with this fantastic looking armor to prove it, but sometimes I do miss the simple aesthetic of this shirtless mechanic from the first game. He just wanted to get off his planet and find adventure, but ended up saving the galaxy from Captain Quark instead. He's the true hero that deserves the recognition instead of Quark. Now I do understand why people love Quark, because he does have some amazing lines.
I'll bet your prom date came in a box that said batteries not included.
This guy is easy to laugh at because he's the butt of the joke without catching on too quickly, and he thinks everyone envies him. But he's also the one that has tried to destroy or frame Ratchet in 2 games now. I know I'm overanalyzing a kid's game, but isn't that the job of every YouTuber?
Soon, all robots will bask in the liberty and equality of my benevolent, iron-fisted rule.
This charming robot is Dr. Nefarious, and he is the best villain Ratchet & Clank has ever had. He's the perfect embodiment of what you think a scheming mad scientist would act like. He's a human-turned-robot after an altercation with Captain Quark destroyed his mortal body, but he was reborn anew thanks to his robot butler. His name is Lawrence, and he reminds me of the worker we all know that's just too good at his job, but won't leave for some reason. His level of backtalk and wit are at the highest levels for any character in this series.
That moron could never hope to match wits with the likes of me.
If anyone can beat a moron at his own game, it's you, sir.
So the main story really just boils down to Dr. Nefarious has always been out for revenge against Captain Quark and plans on turning all organic life into robots. That's the driving force in this game, to stop Nefarious from eliminating all organic life. You can just tell that the animators had so much fun with his movements in the cutscenes he was featured in.
That's what makes it so good, Janice. Feel it. My heart is pounding like an anvil.
Oh, this is the best part of my day.
Oh yeah, that's his one malfunction. If he freaks out too much, then he gets frozen in place, and audio from his soap opera starts to play from his head. It helps liven him up, and he probably doesn't know it's a problem, but Lawrence just doesn't say anything about it. It's a great contrast for the highly expressive character to have a major bug in his programming. Once you get to the end of the story, Dr. Nefarious is about to pull off his master plan, and only Ratchet and Clank can stop him. This boss battle with Nefarious is the best fight in the series, and the developers listened to the fan feedback about the final boss in Going Commando. That fight was too easy, so they upped the difficulty for this boss, but gave him enough variety to still give you a solid challenge. The fight starts with parachuting down to fight him, and this is where I noticed my second major glitch, but I wasn't upset about this one. You have rockets shooting at you, but they were completely off screen for me, so I didn't have to deal with them at all. Once you land, you have to constantly strafe around the entire battlefield to dodge his attacks. It challenges you on your ability to dodge, jump, and weave your way through his attacks in order to survive the fight. During the second phase, he shoots a rain of missiles for you to dodge and adds a clone attack that happens all over the battlefield. This battle uses everything you got to bring him down, and once he's defeated, Lawrence gets called in to help him, but he was a little busy.
Lawrence!
Is this important, sir? It's almost time for my solo.
Begin the transformation!
This begins phase 3 of the fight, and it's the easiest part, because all you have to do is move either left or right, shoot him, and you win. You have now beaten the game, but there is still one unforgivable flaw, and that's Lawrence's bass. He has only 4 strings, but 5 tuning pegs, and he has no room for adding another string. How dare they make fun of an instrument as cool as the bass guitar? Hey, can you? No, I can't play Seinfeld!
Now what?
I don't suppose you can play drums.
Thank you all for watching, and if you've made it this far, then why not subscribe? It doesn't cost you anything. Have a great rest of your day, and take care.